Good day, fellow Zimbabweans, wherever you are. Tukwazisai muzita Jesu, hallelujah. Chiti hallelujah. Ndinotaura nemufaro zvakanyanya because nasuno pane nyaya ndoda kutaura nezvayo. Inyaya iri kundishungurudza, especially for those who share the same view with me. A couple of months ago, I posted a video on Facebook regarding, the status of our country and what's currently happening in our countries. It is so unfortunate that most of the times, each time somebody speaks up, you happen to be looked with the red eyes. Like, they tend to follow you, they tend to post, sometimes negative stuff, and they might even threaten you because that sometimes, the stuff we say online, especially in this era of technology, is sometimes dangerous. However, there's just one thing I just wanted to say. I'm not personally affiliated to any political party. I can support any party that I think represents the values I, as a person or as a citizen, perceive as good, as democratic. But with that being said, I just wanted to say something. Next year, which is just a few months down the line, we're going to have, elections in Zimbabwe. But various political parties are emerging, coming to the party, and some parties which probably has been in the ground for long are also looking for support and all that stuff. But there's just one thing that confuses me. Now into Dr. Nezayo is the coalition that is, I've heard, I've read about it a long time ago, and if this coalition is going to happen between Mr. Tsvangirai and Mujuru, with all due respect to these people, I just happen to feel that I don't think the coalition is healthy for anybody, because one thing I know is that, as long as we are not careful, ZANU-PF will continue to plant bugs in any party that emerges to be powerful, and we must be very careful. And I thought, Mr. Tsvangirai, Dr. Tsvangirai, was supposed to have seen this. I challenge you, Mr. President, that you were supposed to have really scrutinized this. I mean, I remember back then, 2008, you suffered, you've been brutalized, you have been beaten. But who was then, the vice president? I mean, as much as we can forgive and forget, we must not forget that, our history will continue to attach what we do, with the history, and so is the history of that person. Mujuru's record, I mean, has been nothing but bad. I mean, she was part, and I want to believe she's still part. But what ZANU-PF does? They always, towards election, they plant some bugs, some people who are being used to actually go and divide. And it won't be surprising that she might be working undercover, trying to divide, the people. I believe in like having probably one big party that is going to contest, in the probably 2018 election. But the problem is, I think we must vet out people on the basis on what they stand for or what their privilege stood for, because to actually believe that someone has changed overnight, I mean, I don't buy it. Personally, I don't buy it as a person. So there is a problem, because then these decisions are being taken at a certain level, but then you will come to another level to beg for people to vote for you. And once you are in power, you forget about this. And this is the problem with the politicians. This is the biggest problem with the politicians. I hate to say this, but this is the biggest problem with the politicians. Why do you forget to actually engage the very people who are going to put you in power? Why? You forget about that. So it will be like a betrayal of the people who have bestowed their trust in probably the opposition party, because now they have no choice. They are going to vote for MDC and Mujuru, right? Combined, that's a coalition. But again, I know along the process, someone is going to influence somehow for the organization to work in a certain manner. And as much as I want to believe this, I hate to say that she's going to inherit. She has inherited already. She knows the tricks of how to treat people badly. And how is that going to help the Zimbabweans going forward? And I want to challenge Mr. Changira that I think the idea to actually, form a coalition just to contest for the next election, or to join hands with Mujuru for that matter, for the 2018 election, was a political and is going to be a political suicide. I stand to be corrected by the results when this happens, but I want to believe it's a political suicide. Why? Because there is going to be another fight, an in-fight battle, that is the internal battle. Most of the time we're not going to hear about this because it happens internally. But who suffers? We just suffer the waves. It happens inside, but it will shock everyone else who is attached to that organization. Okay, I'm not attached, but I know for sure that the majority, as we speak, is attached to that. And I want to correct that. If there is anything that you need to think about day and night, it's what is going to happen. Suppose, yes, MDC combined with Mujuru, whatever, they won the elections 2018. What is going to happen? What if she decides to say, I'm pulling out? What if she decides to say, you have to agree to this because I played this role? I mean, that alone, I challenge you, Mr. President, if by any means you can think about it. It's just not fair for the people who have trust in you, for the people who have believed in you, for all this you have endured and suffered. I think you were supposed to respect that. Now, for the past, like last year, okay, there's been like a lot of people coming up, most of whom, have stood up for the first time in the history of Zimbabwe to say enough is enough. Okay, I have so much respect for the likes of, people who have stood up to come and say, guys, this is enough. Okay, this is enough. And they have done that so brilliantly. But, these people, as much as they managed to actually move one step further, they are not contesting in any elections. So as much as the majority can stand with them, they are not contesting for any presidents, So the parties that we see are going probably to actually contest are those that are going to be attacked. And I'm referring specifically to the MDC for Mr. Changirai. I want to give this one as an example. What happened when you joined hands with Mr. BT? He split away. That is just, you just need to trace the record. And again, you are falling into the same trap. You are forgetting again what has happened. I mean, that was supposed to be a lesson that some people do come into politics with the only goal to actually feed their egos. I mean, had it not been probably, you know, that people are that great, you know, probably we would be talking a different story. So I don't know, I just put it out there, but I mean, this is just one way to prove that if you keep with this same line of thinking and you do not want to learn your lessons from your previous mistakes, then you will always be a victim of failing to actually remove ZANU-PF. And for that matter, it is going to rule forever because they are clever. No one has ever been successful to seed confusion into ZANU-PF and, you know, manage to split it. Nobody. So in terms of like maintaining their power, they are outsmarting you in a way. And you are smart enough, more than I know, to know that, I mean, they are doing that. As much as we can blame people, we can blame rigging, but I mean, this is just one obvious mistake. I mean, certainly one doesn't need to have many degrees to know that this is just a poor decision. As a person, I think you have betrayed. If this is going to be successful anyhow, you will have betrayed the trust people bestowed in the party, and you are in a way squandering their hopes by promising them something that will never be achieved, probably by your party. And what does that mean? And for those other politicians who are forming out their parties, that's okay. But you know what? Do not just be greedy. Why can't you just campaign for one party, get to power, then after that you can decide the future? Because now we are fighting the biggest elephant. I know, but we are speaking of 30-something years in power, and we must start to think, what is the recipe for winning these elections? And because I'm not affiliated to any party, and because I don't support any party, because so far, if you are even to go back to like, okay, I have part A, part B, part C. Let's compare. What is it that they promised to do? Nothing is speaking about. We speak about change. What kind of change? We speak about job. There is nothing that really specifies this is how we're going to do it. Or if there is, the majority do not know about it. And why is it that the majority do not know about it? Why? Why don't you give it to the majority so that they know, and they know this is what you represent? I know that Zimbabweans are desperate for change. But to just paint change as change is coming, okay, change is coming, whenever it does, or we're going to give change. What type of change? You know, change must, as far as I know, it does have like two sides. It can be negative change, it can be positive change. And most of the parties, we're going to bring change. We're going to bring jobs, we're going to bring this, we're going to bring that. I know. Promises can be made just as they can be broken. Why can't we learn to start with from our mistakes? So yeah, the MDC for Mr. Tsvangirai, I think if you are to ever join hands with my Mujuru, I saw this video where she was engaged by one citizen saying, okay, how can I believe you that you have changed? She could not answer that question. She didn't answer that, and I stand to challenge her if she says she is changed. And I wish this message can reach to my Mujuru. What makes you think you are a different person? How are you going to make me believe? I have relatives who have died under your participation as the vice president. And what is it now that you aim to change? You have been an advocate of that which is bad. And all of a sudden, overnight, you had to have your internal squabbles. And that pushes out for, that is your reason. But I don't buy it. I just believe you might be an agent of ZANU-PF. And once you achieve that goal, you get your package. I really don't believe you. I really don't believe you, and I stand to challenge you. If I have any platform to actually engage you, I would love to engage you and ask you as many questions as I would want to know. Like, why do you think we can vote for you? Why do you think people can forget what happened? Why do you think we can forget what happened in the last 3 elections? Why do you think we can forget that which has happened in the last 10 years, 20, 30 years going backwards? I respect very much what you have done. You have been, a hero. You initially, I used to admire what you stood for. But over time, you changed. You became something else. Just like Mr. President, he used to stand for something that we all loved. And I respected him for that. But over the years, he became something else that we do not know. I mean, it's so painful to actually imagine that, most of the Zimbabweans, the graduates, they're in the streets just standing, watching the sun rising and setting, just hoping the next day is going to be different, only to find when they wake up tomorrow, it's the same story. Is that the Zimbabwe we want? No. No. Not at all. We have experienced, a very discouraging and, I just don't have the right words to describe, the situation of how disgusting a leadership can be. Like people, they're skinned, they're burned alive. And then they get paid for that. That's very discouraging. And I want to know, what is it that you want to bring to these people? If I were to vote for you, for example, what is it that you can tell me? I might be probably biased myself or confused myself. Well, I'm not politically correct, and I think I will never be. But just for starters, there is one thing that I will never do, is to actually watch and sit down and say, okay, I have been working all day. When you have your people out there brutalizing people in the streets, what do you say about that? The police, the army, they are usually the first line of defense. And I'm especially appealing to you, the police guys, the police. I've been watching the clips online for people who are being run over, brutalized, beaten, and left for dead. It's okay. But I can tell you, times will change. Times will change. And when that does, I can tell you, I promise you, and get me right, I promise you, the animal farm will be rewritten. And if you well know what happened then, I think you should know then what will happen in the future. And I want to appeal to you guys. Do not get used. You are our brothers. I'm speaking to you, policemen, women, soldiers. We have relatives, working for that government. But I don't think that is what they sign for when they get to join. I think your first role is supposed to be to protect the citizens, but not to subtract or suppress them. So you are usually the first line of defense to suppress the citizens. Why? So, which means something is wrong there. There's just a lot of things. We don't want to speak about the economy because that is the song anyone can sing. That is the song anyone can sing. Even to ask probably a 3-year-old can tell you that ZANU-PF is bad. But she's just 3 years. She hasn't lived for like the past decade. Because everyone knows that. So yes, we agree. The use of violence to actually intimidate people. People have gone missing. People have been killed. And nobody has been held accountable for that. And we still say we are free. And if there is anyone out there who thinks you are free in Zimbabwe and who thinks you are free, you have to think again. Because if you don't, tomorrow it's going to be you. It's okay now. I'm giving you a case. My Mujuru, it used to be okay with you in the party. But what happened to you? You got out. What happened to you? Don't ever mention to people that you were not now agreeing. Something went wrong. It didn't go as planned. And then you get out. So I'm just giving you, you see now these top cadres, it's happening to them. It's going to come down to you. It's going to come down to you the policemen, to you the army. Times will change. And when it does, you will feel the pain too. So why can't we just be godly for once? And if this God is there, because I know he is. And then ZANU-PF, you do us a favor. You just let go the country. And then someone who is responsible and who has a heart to actually lead the people, because quite frankly you have failed. We can't even beat the bush about that one. ZANU-PF has failed. It has failed the people. It has squashed the hopes of the people. And yeah, you just leave them to wander and beg. This is what you love. This is what you like. It's okay for you because you can afford a piece of bread, and that's fine for you. It's okay because you can send your kids overseas to study and they become well educated more than anyone else. In the next decade to come, they lead us. It's never gonna happen. That will make sure it will never happen. It's better for that country to be ruled by somebody who is not even educated, but he was there and he is there for the people. Because I don't think knowledge is useful when you cannot apply it to the benefit of everybody. It becomes useless. And that is what they call useless knowledge. They claim they are very educated. But what is it that they are doing that education? Nothing. You got 7 degrees, you got 5, 3, 4 degrees. What happens? They just employ you into the ruling party, and then you become the worst nightmare to ever emerge in Zimbabwe. I don't want to name names, name and shame people. But it's happening. It's happening. You see, there are some people I admire who stands for the rights of the people. Some of them have been killed. I know this is all our way. We will along the way die. And this is one thing for sure. We will all die. Doesn't matter, it's by accident, it's by bullet, it's by being beaten, it's by being tortured. One way or the other, we're going to die. We're going to die. And if you as one stop thinking that you are not free in Zimbabwe, then something is definitely wrong with you. Something is wrong. I'm not happy saying this. I'm so very touched with what is happening in the country that I so much love. I love Zimbabwe. I love being a Zimbabwean. I'm proud. Wherever I go, wherever I am, I'm just proud to be a Zimbabwean. But what is happening in my country? Why is the government refusing to actually hear the voice of the people? Why is the government refusing to fixing the potholes? Like just recently, I saw the president donating about 1 million US dollars to the African Union. But in our country, why can't you use that 1 million just to build the road? Why can't you use that million to invest in education? Why can't you just... You see, there's a problem there. You know, when they speak about charity, they say charity begins at home. And I don't know about this charity of donating R1 million to African Union, when in your own country, people are suffering. Mr. President, this is very painful. And I pray so hard that if ever you are to listen for once, and you listen to your people, I know you are not a bad person, but I know for sure that some people who are working in your government are really bad. You have nothing. You have nothing to do with what is like currently happening in Zimbabwe. I really don't blame you. And if anyone points a finger to me to say I'm delusional, to think that you are not wrong in a way, then somebody must think again, because I know for sure that behind the scenes there's a lot that is happening that you do not even know. Somebody just endorses. Of course, you might have given them powers, but you are not the bad guy here, Mr. President. You are not the bad guy. And you are not the bad guy. I repeat that. I have to repeat that. And if someone is to read between what I'm saying, you are not the bad guy. They are bad guys. But you know what? This is the problem. We happen to paint with the same brush. Yeah, we happen to paint with the same brush. Okay. It's very painful. I've always said that, you know, I even wish you, you know, a happy birthday. I don't wish you dead. I wish you to live longer than anybody else. And then you can see, just let go of the power, relinquish the power, and then you see the transition that is going to come, and you will enjoy that. But now what is happening, that's the problem. I have a problem with what is happening right now in our country. Employment is just, I do not know. I'm not educated. I don't know statistics or all those things. But, you know, I know enough to know that something is wrong in our country. And please, let's come together as a nation. Let's come together, join hands, rebuild our country. We used to be a bread basket. And who are we today? We are beggars, scattered all over the continent and the world at large. You have produced, probably under your tenure, the most educated population, and people revered you for that. You know, they still revere you. You go outside the country, you go Europe, you go to America, wherever you go, people, they still venerate you. Because you, sir, Mr. President, you once represented, and you have shown that people can fight and win their struggles. Just let us do the same. Just let us do the same. I mean, we don't want to talk about this story that this did that. We have relatives who fought this struggle. And I wish if I were born at the time, I would have gone to fight, probably alongside you, sir. I would have done that because I love my country. And I'm telling you now that I will do the same. I will fight as an individual. I will do my own part. just to liberate myself. I can't believe that after 30 years of liberation, I still have this mental slavery. I am still, not having the liberty in my own country. You say something, you are in trouble. This is why I say it's not you. I say something today, it's not you who's coming to pick me up. It's not you who's going to punch me. It's someone else. And it is the lack of conscience of those people who come and pick me up. And those are the problem. Well, someone's going to say they work for you. I beg you in the name of the Lord that you listen to the people. It doesn't matter that you win or lose the elections. If you win the elections, we still congratulate you for winning the elections. But then again, do us a favor. But you must not wait until the elections. You are in power now. Do it now. It's been far too long, overdue. Just do us good. That's all we require as a citizen. We cannot just be citizens simply because we've been issued with an ID that takes probably 20 years to come out. Not to mention the lack of commitment by people who are working in these offices. You go there, you queue for the week. There's just a lot of corruption. You have to pay this, you have to pay that. I don't want to mention corruption. Because if I'm to mention corruption, there's still 15 billion missing in our country. And I think you were supposed to ask the people involved in that saga, where's the money? I can't say it's you, but it's your government. Zimbabwe must be free again. And you can help us to reach to that. Because if you are part of the problem, then you can be part of the solution. So for those out there who still think we are free in Zimbabwe, guys, let's think again. Let's just not resort to violence, vandalizing property, standing in the street. We're not going to achieve anything by simply standing in the street. They're just coming into the, I strongly follow what As Lumumba said. He said, you go into the street, they'll come after you, they beat you up. So we need to re-strategize. I just mentioned As Lumumba. It just doesn't mean that I'm a supporter of him. I don't even support him. He even once worked for ZANU-PF. Okay, so he's not good to me. But effect is effect. You go stand in the street, they beat you up. But that is not activism. Okay, yeah, it's part of it, but it's not everything. There is a lot of other things that we can do without actually, doing things violently. Because we have seen that. We have lost lots of people. Many people have died simply standing up and saying something. We still have some friends. We still have some brothers who have gone missing. Some of them have been killed. Some of them, we don't know. They're not confirmed dead. But who knows? Someone went missing for like a year, 2, 3, and still think someone is alive. Well, by the grace of God, maybe. Please, Zimbabweans, wherever you are, let's just pray for our nation. And before I sign out of this video, I'll just say a prayer. Because as Zimbabweans, we need prayers to get through. We just need God. And one way to say there's God, you know, there used to be this ideology that toward the election they used to give people food because they know that there's no food, that they can't afford to buy food because there are no jobs for them to work to look after themselves. So they use that, especially in rural areas. So growing up from, you know, rural communities, I've seen that happening. You know, I was young then, but I didn't understand. I've always had this hunger to question, why are they doing this? But now I understand. But you see what? God is good. For this year only, we just had good rain. And because we had workers, we managed to work and we planted our crops and we had a good harvest, and that would last us probably until probably elections. So if there is any chance, probably people think they would buy votes by giving people food. They think again, they must think again. And for those who are being given food, just go and collect that food. You know where to vote, right? It's high time we must not be treated as fools. We are not fools. We know what we want. And it's a total lie that we cannot get to have a great Zimbabwe again. We can. And if anyone is believing that, we'll never. Yes, I know that I'm sounding stupid and I'm appearing stupid, all that. To most people, I'm very stupid. But I just thought I can give a word or two. You know, Zimbabwe would have been better if it was probably ruled by comedians, because they would make us laugh, maybe. I'm just trying to think who is the person I can really give my vote, because I'm going to vote for sure. But I'm not just going to it's better to waste a vote than to give it to someone who doesn't deserve it. So I'm urging you guys to think twice before you vote for the upcoming elections. And this is what I'm saying as a citizen. Let's do not resort to violence. Let's do not fight. We have been in the war for quite long. And it's time that we do not need to fight with our hands. This is the only chance you have every 5 years to exercise your voice. So please use this time wisely. Just an advice. So I started off by appealing to Mr. Tsangirai that the coalition idea, I don't think it's politically healthy, especially to your followers and to the country at large who had over the years been, you know, following and supporting you through thick and thin, you know, highs and lows. They've been there for you. But I think if this coalition, of course, this is just my voice, but I wish my message can get across to the right people so that they have a time to review what I just said. If there's anybody who is offended by this video, I apologize categorically. I don't intend in this video to harm or hurt anyone's feeling, but I intend to inform and educate, you know, based on my experience and what I know as a person and as an individual. You know, I'm a grade 5 learner. So that's where I ended. I could not went further with my education because I did not have money and my parents could not afford. Why can't you just have mess? There are a lot of people like me who could not finish their education or pursue their dreams, like to furthering their studies, simply because of, not because they were not good at school, but because they did not have, the resources to actually went further. So I speak out of pain. So if there is anyone who is angry with me, who is pissed off with what I just said, like I said, and I'm repeating, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. So you can join me in this prayer. Dear Lord, Father Almighty, I pray unto you this moment to actually look after us and give us light. We have been in the darkness for years in Zimbabwe, and we sincerely appeal to you as our only soul of hope to come and help us in Zimbabwe. For this upcoming election, I pray that you go into each and every person's heart to make the right decision, because I understand and that without you and without your guidance, we'll fall into the trap. A blind man has been leading us for all these years and probably is going to lead us again. I pray unto you that you give him strength to carry us forward to the next generation. And we see Zimbabwe transitioning. Dear Father, we believe in your power. This is not happening to us, it's happening in Africa. It has happened to the Israelites. They lived under Pharaoh for years. But at last, as you promised, you never broke your promise. You set them free. And I know Zimbabweans will be free one day. I just pray that, Father, you help us get there all alive, because I know along the way there's going to be blood being shed, people being killed, harassed, brutalized, everything, just to protect one man's ego, one man's interest. I pray for peace and calm in the elections. I pray for love. And I pray especially for those who are in power, for those who are in positions, to have mercy to their brothers and sisters, to not use force to their fellow brothers, to not use force to those who are not like them, to not use force to those who are not educated, to not to suppress those who are voiceless, and to not to silence those who have a voice. I pray to you, Father, because I believe you are the only road. I pray to you because I know you are the only transport that is available that lead us to the new Zimbabwe that we're also waiting for. I know everyone is on the queue right now waiting to cross that line. I know we will do that with momentum, and we know that you will help us. So, Father God, I raise my hand because I know and I believe in you. I don't believe in violence. I believe in peace. I know one day I'll leave this earth. I just don't know how. Who knows, maybe what I said will hurt anyone. Who knows what I said will make me a victim. Who knows what I said will make me be handed. But even if I am to die now, today or tomorrow, or in the future, I know I said something, and I know this will live forever. And in your name, Father, I say bless everyone who is working in our country. Men and women on the ground who are standing in the courts right now, representing the majority who have been suppressed, yet they are not being paid. I raise my hand because I have so much respect to the Most High, who I know exists. So Father, help me to understand that which I do not. Help me to understand that which I've been long questioning. Help me to know that which I do not know. Help me to see that Zimbabwe wanna see. In your name, Father, I pray for my nation. I pray for my leaders. I pray for those who are in the front. I pray for those who are in the battlefield. I pray for those who are operating AKs, 47s. I pray for those who are sweeping the grounds. I pray for those who are heading the kettles. I pray for those who are sitting in the office making decisions for the country. I pray that the Zimbabweans are going to make the right decisions. Father Almighty, you are so wonderful, and we invite your presence this moment to actually oversee what's going to happen in our country, as we Zimbabweans are ways to make the decisions that will determine our future. In the name of the Lord Jesus, I pray. Amen. I sign out, Zimbabweans. Thank you very much for watching. I know you watch out. And for those who are offended, I'm sorry. Okay? Have a nice day. You are awesome wherever you are. Salute, Zimbabwe.